I think we're good.
Okay, great. Well, hi everyone. Great to have you with us. We'll probably have some folks trickle in within the hour, which is totally fine. We'll be going through a presentation for this application session, as well as some time allotted at the end for some verbal question and answers. But please, at any time throughout the session that we have today, if questions arise for you that you want to put into the chat, please do so, as Eliana will be monitoring the chat as we go. All right, let's get started. So welcome to our application clinic. Just a little bit of background on who MIT Solve is. Solve is an initiative out of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Boston, Massachusetts, United States of America. The backbone of MIT Solve is really our belief that great ideas and ingenuity exist everywhere in the world, but the equitable access to the resources needed to enact and really go after those ideas is what is really still missing. So for our part, what we do is we launch open calls. We call them global challenges, searching for the most exceptional innovators and solutions to pressing global issues, and try to select those innovators, nurture them, and really just support them to scale their impact and drive lasting change. So with you all being on the call today, we imagine you're an innovator with a solution to some of these pressing challenges, and we're happy to have you here to learn a little bit more about how this process works. Who are some of the past solvers, we call them? Solvers are the word we use for winners of our global challenges, and you'll hear me use that term a lot throughout this presentation. We've had over 400 innovators supported throughout our programming, including 43 fellows from 27 different indigenous nations. 90% of the solvers who have gone through our programming are still operational. About 2/3 are for-profit or hybrid, with just over a third being nonprofit. And additionally, 2/3 of our entire portfolio throughout the years are both women-led and based in the Global South. When looking at applications, through the years, we've received over 20,000 applications from 180 plus unique countries. You'll see here that there's different geographical disbursement of where the applications are coming from. But as I mentioned before, 2/3 of our portfolio are specifically based. So 2/3 of our portfolio, meaning winners, are coming from the Global South, although we have a lot of applications from North America. Here, let's get a little look into the timeline. Where we currently are right now is, of course, in the application phase. We launched the calls for our global challenges in February, but in September to January of last year, MIT Solve was doing a lot of challenge design. So we have a human-centered design approach where we're dealing with different focus groups and individual expert interviews on our own desk research to really come up with and refine the challenges and the dimensions of the challenges that we put out to the world and put out to you, to try to gather your interest and make sure we're selecting the best innovators for the most pressing concerns. These applications are open between now until April 18th. I'll be saying that date a lot. And then after that, we go through a pretty extensive period of screening and judging. It starts in the spring in April once the applications close, and it goes all the way through summer because we have a multi-level screening and judging process. Eventually, those selected as solvers are selected by a group of curated judges. These judges are external to the team at MIT Solve, but they engage in multi-discussions and deliberations to finally select the winning cohorts of every single challenge. Those who are selected as solvers are invited to an in-person event which unveils them to our community. This event happens in September in New York City during United Nations General Assembly Week, and it's a really vibrant, energetic time. It's a one-day event with some pre-orientation, but it's an amazing time to get your solution out there into the community and have the spotlight be all upon you. That event is really the start of our 9-month support program, and we'll get into what that 9-month support program really entails a little later on in this presentation. But that support program runs through from September until May, and it usually sort of ends around our second in-person event, which happens on MIT's campus here in Boston. That's a multi-day conference event that's centered around your needs, highlighting you, and creating connections for you. This year for 2024, we have 5 open global challenges. We have the Global Economic Prosperity Challenge, the Global Learning Challenge, the Global Climate Challenge, the Global Health Equity Challenge, and our recurring 2024 Indigenous Communities Fellowship. If you've applied with us in the past, you might notice that the challenges this year are a little bit wider and broader. In the past, we've chosen a potentially more narrow thematic focuses, but this year we're a little bit broader. So do take the time to look through the challenges and see if there's alignment for you there. There might be alignment now that didn't exist in the past. Alongside those thematic areas, we also run a concurrent Black and Brown Innovators in the United States program. So as opposed to this program being a standalone program, what this program is actually integrated into the other pillars that we call them, or thematic areas. And we're looking for innovators within the United States or focus on the United States that are working at the intersection of the global themes. So for example, global health equity, working at the intersection of global health equity and institutional and structural racism within the United States. So we have allocated extra funding in the way of culturally responsive resources, additional travel support, and additional coaching on top of the standard 9-month program for these specific individuals. But what does everybody get? If you are selected as a solver, every single one of the solvers will receive $10,000 coming straight from MIT Solve. Becoming a solver also makes you eligible for additional prizes, and we currently have a +1 million pool of additional prizes, but only solvers are eligible for those prizes, so you need to pass the finalist stage. If you're a for-profit team, you also have access to potential investment through Solve's fund. Every single solver will get travel stipends and accommodation paid for to ensure their physical attendance at our events, the one in September and the one in May. You'll have curated introductions to potential funders and other operational or technical experts that might be fitting the challenges or the needs of your solution. And those are all housed within the 9-month support program. We always say once a solver, always a solver, and that's because we really like to keep up with our alumni community. Alumni also continue to have access to all of our in-person events every year. They become eligible for certain prizes that are open to the alumni pool from year to year. They're continued to be considered if they're a for-profit team for potential investment through our fund, and they continue to have access for anyone in their team to show up to any of the workshops or other in-kind pro bono resources that we offer through the years. So what is this 9-month solver support program? We talked about having some pro bono resources. Those include different marketing, web credits. It also includes legal services. There's a whole list of in-kind pro bono resources that would become available to you upon selection. And like I said before, those will be available for the 9 months that you're a solver, and they're available for when you're an alumni as well. So there might be some things that fit you right now, and there might be some things that'll fit you when you've grown a little bit further in your journey. The other element of our program is curated opportunities to meet with other social innovators. We've often found in our programming that other social entrepreneurs and innovators are the best resources. You know each other's struggles. Sometimes you're working through the same things. Sometimes you're working in the same region and you have similar networks and you can share ideas and just share learnings. Additionally, we really value the social emotional learning in our program as well. It's not always just, report backs and, more quantitative data that we're trying to get out of you. We're really looking to build a community that's passionate about social innovation and passionate about supporting each other. So we have a whole list of different opportunities to connect within the global challenges as well. So all the people who are selected for global health have opportunities to meet with each other bi-monthly, but we also organize cross-sector meetups and talks as well. So you can meet innovators really working across so many different issues and truly working on a global scale. Everybody who is a team lead of their solution will also receive executive leadership coaching. Those are 6 sessions one-on-one. This is generally rated one of the highest satisfactory elements of our programming and really merges the professional and the personal element of what does it mean to be a leader for you right now. We have a team that works on getting you relevant speaking opportunities and placements in relevant media, like Forbes and NPR, things like this, both in print and also digital. And additionally, we have a variety of different workshops and trainings to learn from a variety of subject matter experts. These are monthly offerings, generally optional, but tailored to the needs assessments and the challenges and needs of every cohort to try to be as relevant as possible. All right, let's move on into the nitty-gritty of working on your application. We know our applications are pretty hefty, and so we want to give you some tips and tricks for how to best manage the process of applying. You'll see here on the left that we have 4 different application sections. Only 2 of them are required. However, we've seen time and time again that those applicants who put anything into the other sections have a higher chance of being selected overall because it really builds a fuller story of who you are and what your application it really is. A couple things to keep in mind is that concept stage solutions, so solutions that have not been built or are not being tested yet, that are really in the concept stage, it's really not worth your time to apply this year, and instead work on your solution a little bit more, because concept stage solutions will not be reviewed by us and they cannot be selected by us, with the exception of if you're applying to the Indigenous Communities Fellowship. Quite commonsensical, but to be able to apply, you must fill out all of the required sections. The submit button will just not work for you if you do not fill out those sections, and you will be rerouted to finish those sections. Incredibly important, and I will say this more than once, this presentation, is that your application does not automatically save. You must, every time you're exiting your window, save a draft and then exit. Otherwise, you will lose all progress. Additionally to that, your session automatically expires after 2 hours. So if you go out to lunch and you forgot to save your draft, you come back, it might not be there anymore. So please, please be very mindful about continuously saving your progress as you're continuing each section of your application. For our benefit, please pay attention to character, word, and file limits in the application. Additionally, as we are an open innovation platform, one of the things that means is that once solutions are submitted, they show up publicly on our website. You'll see different writings or indications throughout your application showing you what information or what questions we're asking are public versus internal use only. And when we write internal use only, that really means that it will not be publicly published and it will only be recorded by internally the MIT Solve staff. If you do choose to include a video, please try to set the privacy setting to public. Otherwise, it will just be a blank video and we don't want your work to go to nothing there. You are highly encouraged to collaborate with other team members to complete your application. To do so, every single member who you want to collaborate with needs to make their own profile on our platform. And then you as the team lead can go in and edit your application, go down to the bottom of it and click add a team member, type their name in and invite them. A note here on team lead as you're writing it in your application, the team lead must be on the executive team. For us, ideally, that is the CEO, founder, or executive director of the solution. But we've had negotiations in the past if you're on the executive team more broadly. Really what that means is that we really invest in the leadership of the solution, and we need the team lead to be somebody who is able to make strategic decisions about the solution and about the organization at large. And we want to bring together these leaders to form the cohort so that we have the best sort of cohesion and shared learnings possible at that level of leadership. Like I said before, to submit your solution, you need to do all the required questions. But something nice to know is that if you're a bit nervous about that or you want to be proactive, you're welcome to fill out all of the required sections of your solution and press submit. And you're able to continue to go back to your solution and edit up until the deadline. So if you tomorrow really just like push it out and you fill out your solution, you hit submit tomorrow, great. You're already in the clear. You certainly have your solution. It's ready to be read by us, but there's still plenty of time for you to still open up your application again and keep adding in or keep editing or keep having your team members add in until noon on April 18th as well. But do remember that whatever you do submit will be publicly viewable every time you submit it. There are a few frequently asked questions we get every single year. So we say we're looking for tech-enabled, tech-based solutions from all over the world, but how the heck do we even define technology? Well, we actually take a very broad definition to technology. So we try to steer away from this binary of high tech and low tech. And what we're really looking for is this full spectrum of technology. How we define technology is the application of science and evidence-based knowledge to the practical aims of human life. What that really means is pretty much everything is fair game for us. We've had solutions that have used apps, SMS, platform technology, platform softwares, up through AI, blockchain, and VR, as well as reviving ancestral, natural, or traditional technology and knowledge systems. Basically, what's important here is that what we're looking for is your technology relevant, meaningful, and well adapted to the communities that you are working with? That's going to be the most important thing that we're having our eye on when we're looking at innovative technology. Another question we get asked is, can you apply to multiple of the challenges? Perhaps you find your solution could fit both under global health equity as well as economic prosperity. The answer to that is yes. You're welcome to individually apply or to apply tweaked applications to both of those challenges. But if you do go further into the competition, eventually you will be asked to select which one you would like to be really within. So you cannot be a winner of two challenges, but you can apply to multiple if you think that you are aligned with multiple. Another important question, what is the eventual time commitment if you are eventually selected? We know social innovators are some of the busiest people. You don't work 9 to 5s, you work 24/7. So what can you expect? We say that there's about a minimum of 25 hours to commit over 9 months. So that's inclusive of the 9 months support programming. And then additional to about those 25 hours there are a few days in September and a few days in May around our in-person events that you would be required to engage in as well. What are our challenge criteria? These are the elements that your application are evaluated on. On the left here, we have 5 different criteria. These are the ones that you're evaluated on at every single level of the screening, the review, and the judging. The ones on the right in the yellow are ones that only come into consideration if you are at the finalist stage and for the eventual solver selection. So we have alignment, Does your solution use technology, and is it well aligned to the challenge that you've selected? Does your solution have the potential to impact the population that you've described that you're working within and working to change? Is there a realistic and practical plan? Is there a strategy that we can read, and is it logical? And do we believe that your solutions plan is really feasible in the context that, again, you've described to us? And you'll see I'm really emphasizing this. The amount that you create a context for us is the better we're going to be able to evaluate you here. So really do build out the context and the story of your solution, and make sure it's cohesive within. We're not going to tell you, what is the right level of scalability. You need to tell us that this is the right level of scalability for you. What we're assessing is there the potential for scale given the information that you've provided us? Like I said before, we're looking at the innovation of your technology and of your solution. So this is not only, is there a new technology, but is there a new application of existing technology? We're looking for that adaptation, relevancy, and meaningful piece of your technology, of your business model, or of the process that you're utilizing for your solution. We have a very keen eye on human-centered design, and there we're looking for inclusive and equitable outcomes, ensuring that that's being considered and really dealt with at every stage of your solution, from the design of it all the way through the implementation and the evaluation if you're already at the stage of evaluation. Talked a little bit about scalability, looking for financial viability. We don't need, I guess I'll just say this, we're not looking for a fully formed, perfect application. We love to invest in people, right? But we need to know that you have an idea, you have a plan. So it might not be that you feel 100% confident that you are financially viable right now, but we want to see that you have the right team, you have the right strategy, and you have the right goals for financial viability in a way that we can feel safe to invest and trust in your process and want to support you in that. We'll also be looking for partnership potential. So your description of why MIT Solve. Now that you've read our application, you've come to this session, you see all the unique elements beyond just the $10,000 of base granting. Why us? Why do you think that we have a great potential for impact together as a partnership here? And additionally, if you have novel technology within your application, and if questions arise during our review or judging process, you might be pulled into some further technical feasibility checks, but those are on a case-by-case basis. All right, some things to strengthen your application. Like I mentioned before, fill out as much of the application as possible, as much beyond the required sections as you can. That has certainly proven to increase chances in the past. We put a lot of extra help text or links within the application itself. So take your time and read through those, click through the links, see if they're helpful for you. A couple other resources we have that are also listed in the application itself are a quick eligibility quiz to just ensure that, this is the right time for you to be applying for this challenge. We have our own free online course in business and impact planning that can help specifically with, the business modeling section of the application. Within our website, we have a whole long web page called Become a Solver, which is sort of this presentation, but written out and in more depth, actually. So that's a great place to refer back to and to read through fully as you're working through your application. You're also welcome to attend another application clinic as you continue on with your application and you find there are questions you might want to ask in person. The application questions are the only places where Solve staff are able to interact with you during the application process. So if you'd like to attend another one, you're more than welcome to do so. Just some reminders of things we've already talked about. All of your answers are publicly viewable unless they're denoted as being for internal use only. A note about ChatGPT or generative AI. As with everyone around the world, this has really, taken a hold of our lives. What we'd say here is that we do not recommend the use of ChatGPT to write your application. And this is because we've started to see the loss of the unique voice of the writer, which has disadvantaged some applications because they have become so standardized and hard to parse out from each other. And some of the answers appear very common and very similar to one another. So we fully understand that ChatGPT is a great resource for you to maybe ask questions, refine your answers, edit the things that you've written. But we really recommend that you and your team give a great shot of writing the application yourselves and then using ChatGPT just as an assistive tool as opposed to a generative tool for the application. And within the application itself, we actually include a few helpful prompts that you might want to ask ChatGPT that could help you with your application. Please check the Become a Solver page on our website for further information. And please, please, please do not wait until the last minute to submit your application. We're expecting thousands of applicants this year. We get thousands, in the past years, and we're expecting even more this year. If you have a technical issue or a submission issue quite close to the deadline, there's very little chance that we are going to have the bandwidth or the capacity to assist you. And if you do not submit, if your submission does not go through, you might click submit and it doesn't go through. If your submission does not go through before the deadline on April 18th at 12 p.m. Eastern time, and so that's midday, noon Eastern time, not the end of the day, your submission will just your application cannot be considered, and we would hate for you to do all of that work just to have it not go through. So please submit as early as you can with your application. Okay, I know that was a lot of information thrown at you with very little break. I haven't been able to see anybody on this screen, so I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. Why won't it let me stop sharing? Oh, here. Okay. Stop sharing and see if there are any further questions that Eliana has not attended to in the chat.
Well, we just got one
And
day
if
that
there is, feel free to. Okay, great.
Yes,
Yeah.
we just got one that I thought it would be best to answer verbally. It says, we are a development NGO. One of the areas in which we work is human language technology for low-resource languages. Our CEO is not the one with the expertise in building the tech. My concern is that during interviews, she would not be able to answer technical questions about the building of our solution. Our tech expert is not part of the executive leadership. How should we address team lead for this?
Yes, that is a great question. So there's a couple different ways we can approach this. First of all, I can say that for the interviews themselves, we always allow 2 team members to come on. So the team lead is the person that would be the point person to present the presentation, to present the pitch, and would be able to take questions, but we always have a second person on their team able to be there to answer questions. And quite often we've had it where, the team lead is the CEO, but they bring in their CTO to be able to answer those more technical questions. So that should take care of that. Additionally, there are many moments throughout our support programming in which other team members are welcome to join in. There's a possibility for that in a lot of our workshops. There's possibility for that as well in terms of being delegates for different events if the team lead cannot attend. There's a possibility for that to attend the cohort calls in the place of your team lead. But that would not be possible for the executive coaching. That has to be the team lead itself. So there's lots of moments for shared learning where you could work a little bit more as a pair there. But in terms of the interview itself, you really don't have to worry. You're welcome to have the person with the expertise on the tech be there.
Amazing. Anyone else has a question? Feel free also to hold your virtual hand up or unmute and ask us verbally.
Yes, Sugana. Sulagna, sorry.
Lagna,
Please
yeah.
let me know the correct pronunciation of your name.
Lagna is perfect. So I'm actually the founder of a fairly young social initiative here in Cambridge. And what we're trying to do is bring together younger and older adults and to provide workshops in AI for digital inclusion, for AI literacy, for collaborative working together on community projects using AI. So my question was, are there any opportunities for meeting one-on-one with the staff at MIT Solve just to see how to best strengthen our application for a particular section?
Yes. So especially with you being so close by, I can see like why that would be a quick desire. Our policy is that we are not able to take one-on-ones with potential applicants, whether that be virtual or in person. These application clinics are the only time in which we're able to do really that interactive element, and that's really just a capacity issue on our end, just because we have thousands of applicants and we have very little staff. However, if you were selected as a solver and you were in person in Boston, then you would be able to have some in-person meetings with different contacts to help you, you know. I find I've had that in the past and I found it very rewarding to be able to have those in-person meetings, but only once selected.
Wonderful. And is there any way of reaching MIT solvers, just, ones who are more experienced, have gone through the process to seek advice?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. On it's kind of a do I have an easy way of giving you that information? Not necessarily, but online, all of our innovators are listed. We have a map on there. You might be able to find some who are even in the region that you are in. Their names are listed. Solvers are generally, by fact of being, selected for this program, very communicative, friendly people. So they're usually very open to connecting on LinkedIn and things like that. We're not able to give out anybody's emails at this point, but please do have a look through our map. And if there's anybody that stands out for you, definitely give it a shot to reach out to them.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Rushil?
Hi. So first of all, sorry about coming in a little bit late. I think we got a little bit confused with the calendar timing and the daylight savings. So it was actually showing
Yes.
up in my calendar an hour earlier. But my question is regarding, so we're thinking of applying for the 2024 Global Learning Challenge.
Mhm.
And on the page, so there's something about we have a particular interest for 2024 in solutions that, and you've got 3 bullet points, and one of them mentions ensure that all children are learning in good educational environment. So our solution is more geared towards high school and college going, I guess, students. So would that, does it like when you say children, is it bound by a certain age limit or what's
Yes, great question. First of all, let me back up a little bit and talk a little of the format that you're describing, because this is the format of every single challenge. The challenges are written descriptively, as you'll see on the pages, and then almost every one of them will have about 3 bullets of things that we're particularly interested in. These are not de facto requirements. These are not just 3 levels that you have to fit into, but they're just areas that we might have a particular eye towards this year. In terms of children is, as you note, not specified by age here. I think what you describe would fit under here. I think it's not described for the reason of, what is described as children is very culturally dependent on where you're coming from as well. So it's really, I think, what you are doing would fit within the greater challenge overall and potentially under this dimension as well. I wouldn't see that as a barrier for you.
great? Thank you very much.
Great. Any other questions?
If there are not further questions, I would go ahead and stop the recording, and they and I can hang here for a couple of minutes in case any other questions come up. Does that sound good, Dave?
Yes, and just I was on the presentation, but just popping the email in the chat. The email won't be able to help you fill out any particular application questions, but if you have questions on wording or eligibility, or you're having technical issues with the platform, that is the right email to get connected to during your application process.
Just to keep it in the recording as well, the email is help@solve.mit.edu.
Okay, great. Well,
Right.
if you have no further questions on your end, please feel free to hop off. And as Eliana said, we'll hang on for a few more minutes.